Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions for your service business, and we've got your answer. Super excited today. I'm here with Wanda York. I could describe her as the grandmother of the entire carpet cleaning industry. She was there at the origin. She played a major role. Her and her husband, Ed York, are legends within this industry. And so I'm very excited to actually talk today with Wanda about the origin of this business and how we went from companies like Sears being able to do the cleaning with shampooing on their new wall-to-wall rugs, from actual normal everyday people being able to start a business and build a legacy and put their kids through college. So very excited to talk about that story today. The origin of this was from a handful of asks I've received over the last few months, and I didn't feel it was right for me to tell that story. In all disclosure, Wanda is my grandmother-in-law, and her husband, obviously, Ed York, my grandfather-in-law. And then, for those of you in the know, Steve Brandt, who ran HydroMaster for 25 years or so, is my father-in-law. So, yeah, I've got some roots in the industry. Some of you guys know that. But today I want to hear the origin story and what they went through to build this industry. Wanda, thank you so much for coming out and telling us your story today. So, how did this all get started?
Well, from my perspective, personally, it got started because I was a widow and I had to learn to make a living, so I got a real estate license. And I went to work for a large real estate company. Ed wasn't my boss, but he worked for the same company. And he was teaching a class on salesmanship, which is, of course, what he was, the ultimate salesman. And so, but he saw me, and 2 weeks later we were going together, and 2 months later we were married.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you guys?
How old were we?
Yeah.
How old was I? I was 34,
Yeah.
So Ed is 8 years older than I am.
And carpet cleaning industry is not even a thought in your guys' head at this point.
No,
Yeah.
no. I just got my license. I was planning to sell real estate.
Right.
However, Ed had been through a lot of businesses, and he was a typical salesman in that he got bored with things. He wanted to move to Fresno. We lived up in the Bay Area, and I was fine with moving out of where I had lived before. So we trucked down to Fresno, bought a house, and
With a whole bunch, you had a whole bunch of kids,
real estate.
right?
And then a friend, well, it was not a close friend, but a person that Ed had worked with selling real estate years ago, talked to him about this new machine that he was building in his garage. And he needed someone to sell it. He wasn't the only one, I have to be honest. There were a couple other people in their garages.
At the same time.
At the same kind of time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they all came from the same place, and then they got their own garages. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, he knew Ed was a great salesman, and he talked to him, and he finally convinced him it would be exciting to sell these things. And also the price was exciting because he made $1,000 for every sale.
And now, is that company still around today?
No.
No.
It wasn't even a company, it was just this guy.
Guy out of a garage, right?
And of course, they charged like $5,000 for the machine.
And what year was this?
This was in 69.
Right, so $5,000 is a lot of money.
It was a lot of money. And unfortunately, Ed's buddy wasn't really a buddy, but this guy, he knew he wasn't reliable, so he had to get the cash, not a check, because he had to get his commission out before he gave the money to
Right.
So it was kind of, yeah. So he knew who he was dealing with. But anyway, he had a lot of leads and flew around the country. He had no idea how to use the machine. He always had someone else come and do that actual demonstration.
And was this a portable?
It was a portable, but it was stainless steel.
Oh, I think I've
with
seen...
two big, looked like coffee urns. It weighed a ton. Yeah. You had to have two people. You could not.
I think we have that picture of that. So put that up if we can find it. Yeah.
You could not have one person. And then Ed liked to, well, that's getting ahead of my story, but anyway, So Ed went around and sold some machines and talked to some carpet cleaners, and he got kind of fond of them, and he got fond of being a big fish in a very small pond too. So he was only going to do this for a year, and then we were going to go back to real estate, right? So after,
I'm laughing because that sounds very familiar. We were only going to be just in carpet cleaning for a couple of years too,
Yeah.
before we moved into other industries, and that had about the same effect.
So anyway, but he only dealt with this other person a few months because he had understood that when he sold a machine and for that amount of money, people were going to get a newsletter and they were going to get tips and all of that. That was coming from the guy who built the machines.
That was already something.
Ed promised those things to people.
Ah, I see.
And they were not delivered.
Of course.
So there was a lot of conflict there for a while, and so this only lasted a few months. But Ed wanted to deliver what he promised, and so we went into business. All he had to do was find someone who was mechanically inclined and could build a machine, and that was easy. And before we went into business, he would call me every night because he said, because he's out selling machines around the country, and he says, there's no way that we're going to ever sell the second machine to people because this machine was stainless steel and it had all the parts were from Granger, and so it never was going to wear out.
Oh, right. There's no planned obsolescence.
So he said the only way we can possibly sell a second machine is to show them how to build their business so that they need another machine.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the point. So he said, and we need to get into the carpet cleaning business because I don't know the business, and you need to run the business so you can
Boom! First mom and pop was born.
work on Ed's ideas and see the ones that worked. He'd give out ones that didn't. We had to eat,
Yeah.
So I'm home running a carpet cleaning business. We started with 2 guys from the unemployment line.
So Ed didn't even start off pushing the wand at this point.
Oh, he never pushed the one.
Even better.
No, ever. And I was the one that was running the carpet cleaning business,
Right.
and I had these 2 guys who didn't know anything.
Right.
I knew nothing.
Right. There's no classes, there's no courses,
and then,
no certification, no nothing.
And then I had my uncle was the estimator. So we got into business, and we didn't know how ignorant we were, so we did very well.
And we never do.
A few times we overwet the carpet and it came off the strip, and we had to figure out what happened.
Right.
But most of the time,
Pioneers.
The steam cleaning still did so much better job than the old shampooer.
Right.
That we didn't really have to know a lot. But what happened then later was Ed was invited. The only group of people who were the National Institute of Rug Cleaning. And it's not called that now. I cannot remember what it's called.
National Institute of Rug Cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rug cleaning. Remember?
Right. So this is like Tiger Downey started, his family was like pre-1900.
It was a big...
Bring out your rugs!
Mainly big plant owners who brought rugs in and cleaned them.
Right.
They were the ones who were... that was the only source of information. Whenever Ed sold a machine, he also sold them on a membership to this organization, which he hoped was going to educate them, right?
Right.
Well, it turns out that they really didn't, because they didn't really like these new young carpet cleaners with this machine, which
Right.
they didn't. They were...
Because these were established businessmen
They were
with large
established
factories.
with large plants,
Right.
yeah. And anything new like this, was not.
Right.
So they weren't as much help as
Plus,
we
they
had
didn't know
hoped.
these machines, and wall-to-wall is fairly
they weren't
new.
going. Well, that wall-to-wall carpet is really what started the industry in a big way, because before that, people took their rugs off and sent them off, or they used the shampooer,
Right.
which was a lousy job.
Yeah. So you're running a carpet cleaning industry. You got a couple guys and an estimator, and Ed. What the hell is Ed doing?
He's out selling machines.
That's right.
And he's calling me every night, and also the National Institute of Rug Cleaning invited him to speak at a group that they were having all around the country. They were having meetings.
Sure.
And they wanted him to talk about salesmanship. So he did that. And he also learned a lot from what was going on there. So he called me and said, "Oh, did you know this?" And so I learned a lot via the telephone about what my own business was.
Right.
But we did such a good job, actually, that
And what was the name? This was in Fresno.
In
right?
Fresno.
And what was the name of the carpet cleaning business?
At that time, it was Steamco of Fresno.
Okay.
Yeah. And later, we changed it to Steam Services. We had beautiful trucks. We had them all painted just gorgeous with our name and phone number. And if we weren't busy, Ed would just have the trucks drive around town.
That's right, billboards.
So that was a good advertising. And that winter, we were probably the first people that ever advertised on television.
Boom.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was a star. And one of them I remember well. It was, "My sin was dirty carpets."
So
I was a
good.
lot younger then. Anyway, so we did several of those, of which I was the star. And then we were doing that in the spring, and I thought it's terrible. We can't afford it because, we're doing it in the winter.
yeah.
And nobody's going to have their carpets clean in the winter. Why are we spending this money? Because that's what I'm thinking of.
Right.
And Ed said, "Oh, spring comes, it'll pay off."
So Ed was a long game guy.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
So it did pay off in the spring, and people thought that we had done, everything.
So just a case in point here, they were clamoring for attention on a platform that had very little, it had a lot of room. There was a lot of white space. And so, being one of the first carpet cleaning companies to have an ad on television when nobody else was doing it, have a significant impact for you at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. I was not a believer, but it happened.
But here you are, how many years later, now telling the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So ultimately, we moved in from our house where I was taking care of the kids, answering the phone, and running a carpet cleaning business. And he's off learning about things. Then we found a place to rent, and we moved into that, and became a real business. And then we had the carpet thing being made there too. So if people came in, they could see everything. So we were doing. One of the things that I wanted to say was what Ed thought. And those machines, I'm trying to remember. I believe that the water came into the second tank, and then you had to turn a spigot on and put the
bucket
under, and
drain it.
And Ed loved that. He said, "What we have to sell is a dirty water."
Yeah.
And he would say, and pour it. Hopefully, they would let us pour it in their toilet or something like that.
Right.
But otherwise, you wouldn't do that. But he always believed the dirty water is what sold, because the carpet, even if it doesn't look dirty, you walk on it a little while and you're going to get really dirty water out of it. So that was the big selling point for Ed. And he never understood why they made machines that didn't show the dirty water anymore.
That's right.
It was really hard for him to go that route and get off of the big stainless steel thing and start building something lighter, because he just loved that dirty water. But eventually, I tried to get him to go into the market of rentals as we got lighter. "Oh no, that would never work," he said. So I was right about that, and we should have gone into winters before anybody else did, but we didn't.
So you're talking about the little dirt devil things you can
Being
buy,
able
rent
to
from
rent.
the grocery store. Yeah.
I wasn't always right, but I was right about that. And he was wrong.
Neener.
So anyway, with the stainless steel thing, you had to have 2 people to run it, and then you had to have one person, an estimator.
Right.
Not everybody did that, but we did, because we liked people talking. And even after you didn't need two people anymore because we got rid of the stainless steel, Ed still thought it was best to have two people because one guy is working,
Right.
the other one is talking to the lady.
Right.
And answering questions and things like that. Otherwise, she's going to be doing it, and this guy. And so he always believed that it was worth the money to have a second person there.
We'll have the estimator and the second person. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the estimator had already been out there because we always did that.
Now, do you remember what your average ticket was? So this is 1970, 1971?
You know what?
Starts to get fuzzy.
I don't remember. Maybe a couple $100.
You know,
We charged 25 cents.
a square foot? Yeah.
We charged a lot, but then,
You guys are killing me. It's still the same. The average national invoice for the carpet cleaning industry is $248.
oh, is that right?
Yes.
Well, I just picked that out of my mind. I'm not sure it's true, but
I'm going with it.
But we used to, we charged more per square foot than I think than they're doing now.
25 cents is...
Is it still standing?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's it's all over the map, right? And then commercial obviously is a whole different animal.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
But and then in cap versus hot water extraction and so forth. And Ed saw the birth of end cap, right? He was a big believer in that before anybody else. So, but yeah, it doesn't sound like the prices have changed all that much in like 40 years.
That's too bad.
Yeah, because these guys aren't raising their prices on a regular basis. They're scared to death to do it.
It was a lot. We charged way more than the janitors used to charge, but we had this beautiful machine and we did so much better job.
Right. The value proposition there was more. Nobody was doing it. The
And
market
our
wasn't
men were
saturated.
uniformed, and so even though they came off the line, they looked like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. And you guys did a newsletter?
Well then, yes, absolutely. We had a newsletter, and the way the school started was Ed didn't want to go around the country anymore, and he wanted to train people. By now we knew enough to do that. And so people would come to us who had bought a machine from someone else, because everybody was getting in the
Business. In the
now.
distribution business, right?
And but they were just giving them the machine, and they didn't know what to do with it. So they come to us. Well, finally, Ed got tired of training other people's machine people, so we started charging. And people could come in 3 days. They go out on a machine one day. They were went out to the estimator one day, and then they came in and had a classroom on chemicals and things like that.
Just technician training pretty much exclusively at this point.
Yeah, so, but anyway, we got paid for it instead of giving it out free.
And they would fly people around the country to come see?
Oh, yeah.
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 Again, in the early 70s. Like, that's just amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Usually it was the owner,
Right.
Yeah. And also, another reason that the young entrepreneurs, as you're saying, got in the business was at that time there was a little bit of a depression and people were losing their jobs.
Right.
And so they could get into this business.
Yep.
They could come to us, get a truck, all painted, machine, everything that they needed to be in the carpet cleaning business, plus the training, and they could get it all for 10 grand.
Right.
And they're in business.
Yeah. So the kind of the feeless franchise.
Yeah, it was
Business in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed didn't want, for some reason, to be a franchise.
Right, but obviously franchises means you're protecting a specific brand and that you have reoccurring fees to pay for juice or gear or
Yeah,
whatever.
I
You're
don't
not
know-
doing that.
I
It's
don't
kind
know
of,
why he didn't want to do that, but he didn't.
but
want
he
to do
didn't.
that.
Yeah. And then,
So we did have our brand. We changed the Steam Services, and people could use that name with their own, what they bought for us.
Mhm.
So then we moved to a huge building, and we grew, and we were able to take rugs in and hang them up and all that.
What was the name of the education company then at that point?
What was the name of the education?
Was that Fiber Cleaning Schools of America?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we had Steam Services,
Mhm.
which people could use for actual cleaning.
Right.
We had Fiber Cleaning Schools of America.
Right. What was the distribution leg?
And what did you mean?
Ed selling the machines under what company name was that?
Steam Services.
Steam Services.
Yeah.
So both your carpet cleaning and distribution were under Steam Services. Yeah, very cool. No, you had the school, so you had Fiber Cleaning Schools of America, you had Steam Services.
Right. And of course, Ed was sending out a magazine every month. And
Was that Tips and Chat?
Yeah.
Yes,
Tips
and
Chat.
we have an archive of those we release every once in a while, so take a look for that, but it's very cool content. Yeah.
It's rough in the beginning, and it gets smoother and smoother, and then Ed didn't have time to do it anymore, so we hired someone who wrote it. Yeah.
It's
So-
nothing new under the sun, right?
So the magazine got pretty slick toward the end.
Yeah. But this was because of client retention, though. This is because of keeping in touch with your current clients and your
absolutely.
prospects and making sure that you're telling them a story and they're following on the journey.
And we were sending out, not just the Tips and Chat, but we were sending out things about how-to things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whenever Ed had a new
idea. Yeah.
or he had a new information,
Sure.
then out came a sheet, so we sent out. Someone suggested that why don't we get together? So anyway, we started the Society of Cleaning Technicians.
Right. SCRT.
This was
SCT.
This
That's right.
was
Yes.
first group we had.
Right. First iteration.
And like 100 people, and it grew. And then the IICUC, which is
I suck.
we were certifying people through the Fiber Cleaning Schools of America. They got a certificate.
But what did certify mean?
At that time it wasn't we were certifying anybody, but we
Right.
were giving them a certificate and
Sure.
it's encouraging them to go on the radio or the TV or something and say, in fact, I used to make a small thing for radio,
Right.
and they could have it on a tape. This person just came out to California, got trained and with new machine, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I had a pretty good voice, and so I did all that radio. However, he brought in younger people to do the TV.
Huh.
Anyway, so people could come to us, and they got a lot. They got a lot for their money. A lot of people would go into business for $10,000, and they didn't have a job anymore, and there was nothing going on. So that was one of the reasons. And it was, where can you go into a business for $10,000 and have everything done?
Right. Turnkey. Yeah. Ready to go. Yeah. Especially back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was what we did. And then we're all relaxed, Steve and I, and Ed decides, he thought up IICUC. At that time it was the International Institute of Carpet and Upholstery
Cleaning.
Yeah. He thought that up overnight. And all Steve and I were thinking of was, more work. And I'm thinking, I couldn't think of any way to make money with that.
Right.
It was not a moneymaker. So I thought, why would we do it?
We're talking about what would become the IICRC, by
Yes.
the way. Yeah.
Yes. But we did it, and we were certifying people who went to school and had to have certain things. His idea about that was all your employees were certified, and you were certified, that you could advertise this, and it would be worth something.
Right.
Over time, though, it turns that was fine for a small group, but we were not going to get a lot bigger unless we expanded to other associations. And so we started inviting other associations to belong to the IICUC.
Mm-hmm.
So the California Association came in, and then some other things did, and gradually we grew, because just for ourselves, IICUC would not have been able
Right.
to grow that fast.
I think they're at 70,000 registrants worldwide at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. Not that they don't have their issues.
Oh, yeah. They threw Ed out eventually.
All
Did
right.
you know that?
I
Yeah.
did, yeah.
They
Ed
did.
was a cantankerous figure. Today
Yeah.
we'd call him kind of a troll.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, he
was
annoyed-
always out over the underdog. It was always for the
He
underdog.
always was, yes. It was just the way he was. And I thought, I didn't quite blame him too much, actually, because he did always take the opposite. Their meetings were kind of, but it wasn't good the way they did it. You know, after all, it was his baby from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. So they should have been able to put up with something.
Well, you know, again, things never change, right? Because what happened? There was a big shakeup. What was this? 2012, right? Wheelwright and the group, they used a legal maneuver, and then they reduced the size of the board, and had some people removed. And you know, an association should be a place for everybody at the table, even the asshats.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's about the people, the group, everybody.
Well, you know, every group had someone there, and so, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
When you guys started out, and you said that Ed kind of saw the value of having, hey, this company is a certified company. Was there anything in the original plans to, you know, use the power of membership that the IICRC was continuing drawing from and do national branding and advertising in order to raise awareness of the brand itself?
Well, I think that was the idea. That's why Ed promoted it to other associations rather than just keeping it for ourselves, because we were not going to be able to, you know, make a national brand out of it.
Right, by yourselves.
Yeah, by
right.
ourselves, yeah. But then, of course, then everybody, now I'm just remembering now, everybody who joined, like the other little associations. There was one up in the Northwest in California.
CCINW,
and other
yeah,
places.
right.
When they joined, then they sent someone to the meetings.
Right.
And not everybody agreed,
Sure.
of course.
Yeah.
But it did grow quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's been through several iterations
And
and
then
lots of different
we went
leadership.
into the restoration business, and then a lot of people did, and that's why it was changed to.
So who owns the IICRC? I've always been kind of fuzzy on that.
It was a corporation, and people, other organizations all had a piece of it. They paid for a piece of it.
Okay.
So they had a right to, you know. And what it turned into, I don't know. I can't
Right,
tell you.
right.
But that's the way it started. So I don't remember even how much they paid for it, but they did.
Right. Membership fees and
Yeah,
dues
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are starting out. They have no idea this history even exists. I think it's important because there's still so many parallels between today and when you guys started back in the late 60s. And then, you know, to see the same mistakes new business owners make, the same exact ones over and over again. I find that so fascinating when there's this history to pull from. And so, and I wish there was more preservation projects, like we're archiving the Tips and Chat magazine and bringing Wanda on. You know, I wish we would have had an opportunity to bring Ed on, but I wasn't smart enough to do these shows while he was still alive.
While he was still alive,
so, yeah. So we lost a little bit there, but thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I like these things a lot. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Our historical episodes don't usually get a huge following, but for the people that do, I think they get a lot out of it. There's a lot of value there. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check out the demo and give us a call.